In the vast silence of space, death is inevitable. But sometimes, death doesn't mean the end. Sometimes, death evolves. Across galaxies, two horrors have dominated science fiction's darkest corners. The Xenomorph, pure biological rage born from parasitism and bred to kill. And the Necromorph, grotesque, reanimated corpses twisted by alien signals into shapes meant only to maim, infect, and multiply. But what happens when these two nightmares collide? What if Weyland-Yutani, in their unrelenting pursuit of domination, unleashed a fusion of both? The perfect predator and the perfect contagion. What if a xenomorph died and came back? This is the Necrozenomorph, and it may be the most terrifying hybrid the galaxy has never seen. In the speculative nightmare that bridges two franchises, the origin of the Necrozenomorph begins with greed, arrogance, and a total disregard for consequence. Weyland-Yutani, the ever-ambitious corporation that brought us the Xenomorph outbreak on LV-426, may have dug too deep into ancient ruins left behind by the engineers. Somewhere on a long-forgotten moon, possibly one connected to LV-223, they recovered fragments of a marker. Not a full marker as seen in the Dead Space universe, but a partial relic pulsing with coded madness. Alongside the black pathogen known as black goo, these two alien artifacts were brought into an off-record genetic lab orbiting an uninhabited exoplanet. There, in secrecy, the Weyland-Yutani Division 7XX initiated Project Gene X6, a biotechnological experiment to weaponize necrotic cellular structures by infusing xenomorph genetic material with marker-coded instructions. The first subjects were dead, cryo-frozen warrior xenomorphs, but the marker did something no one expected. It didn't just revive the corpses, it changed them. The result was catastrophic. The Necrozenomorph is not a simple undead version of a xenomorph. It is a complete reconfiguration of its anatomy, fused with necrotic energy and alien biology reanimated by the marker's pulse. It retains the elongated, eyeless skull typical of a drone or warrior, but the smooth dome is cracked, revealing twitching veins and exposed bone. Its exoskeleton is no longer a sleek, jet-black chitin, but now appears decomposed, pitted with decay, and glowing with faint orange-red lines reminiscent of marker sigils. Limbs are warped. Its claws are longer, serrated like those of a slasher necromorph, and it moves with a twisted, spasmodic fluidity. Sometimes it walks upright. Other times it crawls like a spider, dragging its body across ceilings with inhuman grace. From its mouth extends not one, but two sets of jaws, one mechanical, the other necrotic, fused together. It emits no hisses, only deep, multi-layered wails, resembling the voices of people it killed, distorted into unholy static. Unlike xenomorphs, the Necrozenomorph has no queen, and, unlike necromorphs, it does not require a full marker to spread. It is a standalone hive, a self-replicating organism that infects the dead and absorbs their neural patterns. It exhibits alarming intelligence. In recorded logs recovered from the lost facility, the creature was observed mimicking voices of deceased crew members to lure survivors into traps. It operated control panels. It deactivated security turrets. It learned. Over time, the infection spread through the entire station. Human corpses were repurposed into necrotized pseudo-xenos, forming a terrifying pseudo-hive of warped bone, flesh, and screaming walls. These infected could not birth facehuggers, but they didn't need to. Each corpse was a reanimation node, a mobile, hostile infection vector. The outbreak wasn't just fast, it was evolutionary. Just like the necromorphs, the Necrozenomorph created variant strains depending on the corpse's species and role. The most feared include The Spore Reaver, a bloated, slow-moving brute fused from multiple xenocorpses. It bursts into a cloud of necrotic spores when destroyed, infecting any nearby organic life within seconds. The Bone Siren, a horrific, elongated hybrid with a specific ribcage-like torso that opens to reveal a gaping sonic emitter. Its screams can rupture eardrums, paralyze prey, and cause hallucinations. The Skin Weaver, a stealth fakey variant capable of weaving biomass over itself to mimic walls, doors, or even humans. It strikes when victims are alone, isolated, vulnerable. The Blight Queen, a grotesque throne-like mutation resembling a traditional xenomorph queen, but built entirely from necrotized corpses and flesh-welded synthetics. It doesn't lay eggs, it grows new necroxenos directly from its body. The initial outbreak of Project Genix lasted 6 hours. The station's last security recording ends with the phrase, "It's learning too fast. We're not dealing with evolution, this is something else entirely." By hour 8, the biomass had reached the reactor core. The remaining survivors triggered the self-destruct, hoping to sterilize the site. But before destruction, an escape pod was launched. An automated probe, carrying genetic samples. Some say Weyland-Yutani recovered that pod. Others say EarthGov intercepted it. Either way, the Necro-Xenomorph's data was not destroyed. It's out there, somewhere, in the hands of those who would use it again. Weyland-Yutani has a long, bloody history of burying its mistakes. Black site experiments, unreported colony disappearances, entire research vessels wiped from the corporate registry. Failures are swept under airlocks and rewritten with new cover stories. But this failure, this thing, may not be a failure at all. It may be a prototype. Some believe the Necrozenomorph was destroyed when the station went critical, vaporized in a nuclear fireball. But others, those who read between redacted lines and intercepted black box transmissions, tell a different story. They say a Weyland-Yutani probe escaped the station minutes before detonation, that its cargo included genetic data, tissue samples, and even a fragment of the corrupted marker logic matrix, and that this probe never returned to Earth, but was rerouted to a distant moon, a cold, quarantined rock known only by a number. Buried beneath the ice, sealed behind steel, concrete, and denial. The company never spoke of it again. No incident reports, no employee deaths, just silence. But silence doesn't mean it's over. What if the Necrozenomorph didn't just survive? What if it was studied? What if Weyland-Yutani, with its vast resources and unspeakable ambition, decided to improve it, combine it with other strains, refine it into something even deadlier? A creature no longer bound by evolution, but driven by recursion. A life form that sees every death not as a loss, but as a building block. A hive with no queen. A virus with a mind. A predator that never stops feeding, because everything it kills, it makes its own. If this hybrid is ever released again, it won't just kill us. It won't conquer us. It will recycle us, bone, blood, and memory, into something far more terrible. Not alien, not necrotic, not dead, something new.